channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Now join me today guys for the full review of the first Seiko MM200, the 1968 reissue, SPB 187 Homage on AliExpress. Now I don't know who the brand is. As I mentioned in the unboxing of this video, it's very unclear. The person on the actual store is ascribing themselves to Heimdallr, but that is, from what I can tell so far, it's not true at the moment. However, I will link the store within the description, so make sure you check it out if you are interested in this watch at the end of the video. On that note, also please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the latest reviews, etc, etc. So let's get into the watch. This is homaging the MM200, and it's the first homage to the MM200 on AliExpress. Initially, when I purchased this on AliExpress, I preempted this to be a very good watch indeed. I was actually quite excited to receive this. So I've had this watch now, just checked it out in hand, and you know what? It's overall it's quite a good watch. Now, as you can see, it looks very plain. That is because the alternative branding, I couldn't really deal with it at all. It had this big writing across the 12 o'clock, which said Thorn. And the case back had like a rose on there and some, I don't know, some text. So I wasn't really feeling that, and I bought this because I wanted to mod it. So yeah, so this watch will be having a nice mod in the near future. So this is the box it comes in, those plastic dive boxes, nothing else to it, no instruction manual, no warranty, etc. My dealings with the store and shipping, the shipping was pretty quick, under 2 weeks. The store, they're pretty much okay as well. I never had any issues with the watch. Everything came and everything is exactly as they said it was. So here's the watch in hand. Let's go over quickly the specifications, and then we'll look at the dimensions of this cracking new watch from AliExpress. So specifications, you've got a double dome sapphire crystal, as you can see, with AR coating. You've got a full 316L stainless steel case construction. You've got a screw down crown, screw down case back. You've got 120 click unidirectional bezel with a ceramic bezel insert. So the watch has 200 meters of water resistance. The watch runs a Seiko Epson NH35 movement, which I think by now we're all aware what that movement is capable of. So the dimensions on the watch, you've got a 44.5mm case diameter, and you've got a lug to lug of just under 50mm, to be exact, around 49.7 millimeters, and you've got a thickness of 14.3. The weight on the watch with the full strap with 0 links removed is 197 grams, so just under 200 grams. So the price of the watch is £130, which is equivalent to approximately $180. Now, with that, being said, I think it's a reasonably good offering if all is well on the watch. And it's in that nice price bracket between £90 to £150, I think. So I think the price is right. Let's see if the rest of the watch is also right. So let's start off by first looking a lot closer at the dial. Now, it is a sterile dial, as I mentioned, and most interesting, what we want to look at is the actual indice below the 12. So that is shaped like the new reissue Seiko Marine Master 200 meters, which is nice. All the indices are applied. You've got a silver polished frame around. You've got a slightly tapered 6 o'clock index, which does not seem to be sitting in line with the 12 o'clock marker on the chapter ring. As you can see, the first bit of misalignment. But in my experience, chapter rings and dials and bezels really truly align. If you've got alignment at the 12 o'clock, what you do find, you have a misalignment at the 6. Price in mind and the nature of the watch in mind, I'm absolutely okay with that. I don't expect perfection, but it is possible to get perfect alignment for this price range as well. Now, you've got slim batons at the 6, and at the 3 o'clock, you've got a polished chamfered date window. So, so far the dial is made, it looks like it's been made really well. It's got the, the right level of applied indices. It's a matte effect dial, and, in hand, it actually looks almost gray. I'm conscious on the camera, it looks darker than it actually is. So you've got a printed chapter ring. As I mentioned, there's a bit of a misalignment at the 6, but other than that, it's been printed to a, quite a high level. There's no issues. There's no misprinting or any defects present. Now, the hands used, they are polished and chamfered. Again, very similar to the reissue hands. So I like that they've, gone full on with the dial and the hands. although the actual case shape and the actual diameter is a bit closer to the actual MM300. Let's have a closer look at these hands. Let's get some light on there so you can just see that chamfering. You can see the loom that's been applied to the hour and the minute hand, and you've got the traffic light seconds hand. Let's have a quick look at the loom. With regards to the loom, you've got a fully illuminated ceramic bezel insert and you've got a fully loomed dial in the hands. The loom we are looking at is of course BGW9, and it's, you know, it's a decent quality of loom. Just a bit of light coming into the room. It's not fully pitch black. However, you can see that, and you know, I think the layering of the loom is sufficient. There's enough light on the ceramic bezel insert. Overall, I am pretty impressed with the loom that you can see on the watch. So I think the loom is pretty reasonable. So the bezel, you've got a ceramic bezel insert, and you can see the dome of the sapphire. I think fit to finish is quite good actually. The profile is nice. You know, it's not protruding. It actually fits well with the case and the bezel, just that dome sapphire. Now let's check out the clicks. 120 click as mentioned. So the bezel itself, I think the sound's okay. It's slightly subdued. It's not as clicky as we normally hear on some of the bezels. The issue is here, there is a bit of back play. So if you go a bit forward, the bezel actually moves back just a touch. So you do have about half a click's worth of back play. Now it's not 100% tight, but it isn't that loose as well. Let's see if I can demonstrate that. You can hear that. So there's just a very slight, very slight bit of movement in the actual bezel. But overall, you can get it to line up. You just have to really go past and then let the bezel just come back. So the back play present on the bezel actually helps it line up. Now let's look at the construction of the bezel. That's quite different. No sharpness. The bezel itself is actually well made. I really do like the design here. It's a fully brushed bezel. So yeah, the bezel isn't perfect, but at the same time it isn't really bad as well, and I think you definitely can live with it. So I don't see it as much of an issue. Now looking at the case, you've got a very familiar you know, Marine Master style case where you've got brushed lugs. You've got linear brushing down the actual lugs, and then you've got a polished chamfered edge which goes around the whole case, and then the center of the case is brushed. You've got drilled lugs, so that's good for strap changes, bracelet changes of course, and then it transitions back into a polished side. The crown is polished, and you've got a decent grip on the crown. The crown action is good. Screws out just fine. Just wind up the movement. Date change. Date is pretty much centered. Hack. So the functionality is there, but only thing with the crown is, you know, that little press that you do where you can hear the click. You can't. You have to literally press it down fully, and then you can close it just to release that mechanism and release the movement. Case back, of course, it's going to be sterile. You know, decently made. You've got a polished surround to the case back, and you've got circular brushing present, and the back of the case is also brushed. So yeah, again, going back to the logo version, I think it was just, there was a rose on the back and it just said some stuff on there which I really wasn't, you know, I didn't really like. So I decided to go against that. Now moving on to the actual bracelet, you've got a Jubilee style bracelet which you've got polished center links, obviously brushed outer links, and you've got a solid end link, which is always good. And then just looking at the fit and finish, pretty impressive. It fits really well. I think the only thing here is because you've got a sort of a line on the lug, and the bracelet itself actually curves. There's a slight mismatch. I would have liked to see a better matched end link. The actual distance between the lugs is 21 millimeters, so it's that awkward one. And I think if you would replace this with something, I think the best thing to replace it would be either a rubber silicone bracelet, strap, or a leather. I don't know what other bracelet would fit, to be honest. So there's a very slight taper to the bracelet. From 21 mil, it goes on to 20 mil at the clasp. You've got a sterile milled clasp with the flip lock. Better than having a stamped clasp, definitely. 3 micro adjusts, all solid links, which are held together by, I'd say, yes, split pins. I have seen a few people try and put Jubilees on MM200s. So for me, I think the case, dimensions are closer to the MM300. However, the dial and hands is for the MM200. I do like the side profile. I like the fact that it's not very thick. So I think that'll be appealing to people that want to buy this. And the second thing is, I think for me, it's a great base for a mod or for a build, because you got the NH35. The fact is, of course, you can take the case back out, so it just removes the whole process of going through the top of these monoblock cases. So very interesting watch. Let's put it on the wrist. My wrist check for the day is I'm wearing the Zelos Swordfish 40 with that teal dial. Now, it's worth mentioning the weight of the watch does sit in the actual watch case. The bracelet isn't too heavy. So 50 mil lug to lug, 44.5 mil case diameter. I've got plenty of watches that fit this. They've got the same dimensions. My wrist is 6.5 inches, and I think you can definitely pull it off. I think what will make it easier is the slimmer profile of the case. So now you can wear a MM Marine Master Homage without it being too thick. Fits well. The bracelet's okay. It's not the best bracelet. I would like to see a bit more of a taper on it. I think that's where Jubilees look the best, but this one's pretty flat. All right, so to summarize, what do I think? What do I truly and honestly think? I think for £130, it's okay, but bear in mind, you just need to spend another £20, and then you get the Proxima MM300, which I think is a far better watch. In terms of, I think the problems with this watch, it just lies in the bezel. It's not the worst. I've seen a lot worse. The rotation is actually okay. It's just the fact that you've got just a very slight play, just a touch looseness in the bezel, which I don't think for the most part is a major drawback. I think it's one of those things you're just gonna have to deal with. But I think it will make a gorgeous mod, perfect modding watch. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with the purchase, no doubt. And I think with the store in question, I don't know how good they're going to be. I don't know what they've got coming out. This is one of the few watches they've got. They do have a few Heimdallr watches. They've got quite a few pots and watch cases present. So do check out the store. You might find something interesting in there. But yeah, overall, yeah, fairly decent watch, and I like it. And hopefully, let's see how this turns out once I do mod it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next review.